Hello, I'm Jonathan T, and I'm here to give you some tips on studying. But first, I'd like to introduce myself a bit more. I'm an undergraduate studying biomedical engineering at the University of California, Irvine. I transferred from a community college into a four-year university, and I hope the advice I give here makes the journey to transferring a bit easier. If you want to get better at studying, it's important to find out which methods suit you the best. Flashcards, reading textbooks, reviewing notes, and doing practice problems are some common ways to study. However, you can always pick more than one. These modes of studying are only tools for learning, and like most tools, they can shine in certain situations. Studying terms from biology might be better suited for flashcards, whereas it might not be as useful as preparation for an essay. It's best for you to test out a variety of methods for a variety of courses so you can better understand your options and what you're comfortable with. There are many creative tricks out there, so be sure to keep an eye out for them. Once you find out the method you'll be using to study, the next hurdle to overcome is actually getting yourself to study. One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is that we'll study when we feel like it. At least in my case, that time only comes the night before a test. Obviously, it's not the greatest habit. So how can we get ourselves to study earlier and more often? For starters, we can make a study plan. Write down some dates and times that you'll be studying and for how long. Don't write some arbitrary date or time either. Set something realistic. Even if it's only for 10 minutes, as long as you've studied as much as you said you would, you can start building up from there. It's important to write down what subject you'll be studying during the session as well. Going in without a plan will waste some time. Asking others to study with you is also a good way to commit to the activity. Even better is that reviewing material with others can reinforce your understanding of concepts and fill in any gaps in your understanding. You can also visit your college's academic support center. Not only will you always find someone capable of helping you study, but it's hard to get distracted once you've begun. Just be sure to check the availability of the tutors and plan accordingly. So now that you've managed to start studying, how can we improve the experience a bit more? Studying for hours on end is not the best use of anyone's time. You should strive to study efficiently and responsibly. Try to find a good place to study, such as a library. Ideally, there would be no distractions, and everything you need for studying is nearby. Create reasonable goals that you'd like to meet during your study session, and write down whatever you struggle with. Be sure to reward yourself once you finish studying as well. It's a habit that we want to encourage in the long run. And finally, don't push yourself too hard. Burning yourself out only makes it harder to retain the information that you've studied, and it only makes you want to avoid studying in the future. Take your time and space things out over a large period of time to avoid too much stress. Studying isn't what many consider to be fun, but it shouldn't make you absolutely miserable either. But what if you're still having trouble learning after all that studying? What can you do? Well, if you've been recording what you've been struggling with, as I mentioned earlier, then now is when it comes in handy. Ask a friend, teacher, tutor, or classmate about the issue and see if they can walk you through the problem. Try to avoid getting the answer outright, as it doesn't help your understanding as much as going through the steps. Keep in mind that the solution to your problem might also be online or in some video or form. You should use any resource you can to improve. Helping others is also a great way to find out what you know and what you don't know. You shouldn't be hesitant to help others just because you don't know what you're doing. Collaboration is not only a good motivator, but can help you compensate for each other's weaknesses. Personally, I found a lot of success through helping others, as I wanted to review and understand what I was talking about before walking them through the steps. In a sense, it was a short study session before putting my knowledge to the test. Now you might be wondering if there are any other tips for studying, and I'm sure there are, but I don't know any more to share. Studying is something that we all learn in our own way. The tips and tricks that we find won't always be what everyone else knows, so be sure to ask others for tips and share some of your own. I encourage you to experiment and take small steps towards improvement. Diligence is something we develop steadily, and studying is an experience that only gets easier. Thank you for making it to the end of my presentation. I hope you've learned something from this video, and good luck with whatever comes your way. Have a nice day, everyone, and if you liked any of the images that I used, here's a list of their links.